your girls, grab your beers.
Hey everybody, this is Charlie from Anthrax, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time. Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now here's your host.
I am Monty Heath, so one Heath, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
Hey, what's up? It's John from Skillet, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle on Domain Cleveland Radio.
Fasten your seatbelts.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle. And real quick housekeeping note, if you're watching us on YouTube or BitChute or Rumble or Odyssey, please hit that follow and subscribe button. If you're listening to us on Spotify, iTunes, Google, Spreaker, all those podcast platforms, please hit that follow and subscribe button. Build up our numbers so we can continue to bring you conversations like the one I'm about to have. It's that time of year again, folks. It's time for that annual catch up with my friend and the co-founder of the Inkarceration Music Festival, Dan Janssen. How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing good, Bill. How are you?
Good. Looks like my video's a little off, but oh well, we'll run with it just as long as you can hear me fine.
Yeah, I can hear you.
But yeah, you're getting up there with like Flo White status, man. As somebody that's been a recurring guest on the show.
Nice. Yes, I've seen you. You've been doing quite a few interviews lately. I've been seeing here and there.
Yeah, man. It's been amazing, man. And it's like, I'm getting connected with that Danny Wimmer family, like you. So
that's awesome. Very cool.
Great.
You deserve it, man. Yep.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. So, dude, here we are now. Inkarceration coming up in July here. Now we got 2023, and the lineup looks incredible. I know you and Amanda, have done an amazing job as always. But like, you want to talk about? I don't know if we've really got into like the process of putting the list of bands together, and then, getting them to commit. If you want to share a little bit about how that goes.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Amanda and I work hand in hand and all that stuff. We start really early. In fact, we have a call today about 2024 already. So we definitely start early on. We have a wish list to start things off, right? And that wish list usually gets blown apart because nothing is, when you're booking, obviously it depends on, number one, if the bands are available, if they're going out, you know what I mean? If they're going to be even doing anything that year, and that's even before you get into negotiating on getting the right money in there. Right. So there's so many factors that come into play. Again, we start with a wish list. We have our backups for each slot. And we just kind of go in. Obviously, throughout the year, the agents will submit stuff as well, and bands that are going to be available. And here's a list of who's going out and who's going to be out around the time of the festival, et cetera. So, it's a process. I mean, it's a grind. It's a process. Surprisingly, last year I felt like we booked up really fast compared to other years. Everything just kind of fell into place, and that was great. Obviously, we had targets that we wanted to hit with certain acts, and we're able to get those, and that worked out really well. But yeah, again, the process is Amanda does a lot of the legwork. I give her credit where credit is due. I give her my wish list of bands, and we discuss stuff, and we're usually on the same page with what we're looking for. It's probably my favorite process of the year because obviously as a rock fan and this is like my dream of being able to like book artists that not only I want to see, but I know that other people want to see. And, it's so much fun to me. This part doesn't feel like a job. It's kind of the kid in the candy store, like, all right, who can we look for this year? How can we change things up? Or it's just a lot of fun. So it's probably the funnest time for me as far as the whole festival, planning goes.
Yeah, exactly. And then, as you mentioned, you have your wish list. Who were some of your contributions to this year's list?
My contributions this year, I really wanted to get some of the throwbacks in there. I really pushed. I wanted to get Cold Chamber. I wanted to get Flyleaf. They haven't played in a long time, and doing those reunions. I was really gung ho about that. I wanted to bring Bush back as well, just because they hadn't played since 2018. They were one of our headliners, and it being our 5-year anniversary of Ink, I wanted to kind of go back and pick out some of the bands that had played previous years, because we don't do a lot of repeats, right? Like in every year we've done this festival, there's only been, a handful of bands that have been back twice. And this year I kind of felt like we could really dig back into 2018, 2019, 21, even some of the bands in 2020, that the year that never happened, like Limp Bizkit and Under Oath, and some of those acts that were supposed to play in 2020 but never did. So I felt like it was the year where we could really just kind of bring in all everybody's favorites from all the years and put them all in one show. That's kind of what I was looking at doing. But yeah, some of the ones that I really wanted to get this year was Cold Chamber and Flyleaf. Pantera was another one. The Pantera tribute. I heard about that last year at Inkarceration. I think like a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I heard about it and I was like, man, that just works for Ink, right? Like that seems like that's so fitting for Inkarceration, for the setting. And as soon as I heard about that, I think all of us were like, yeah, we really need to make that happen. So really happy that was able to get done and be able to bring it through next year. I think it's going to be a wild Saturday night, especially with Lamb of God opening. That's or being direct to that. So that's going to be great.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I remember like we had talked, I think maybe it was last year's one about how how well loved Lamb of God is here in the Ohio area, and how you've been trying to get them. And, we were able to get them last year, and they're one of the ones that you're able to bring back this year, which is pretty incredible. I didn't know it was a 5-year anniversary. So yeah, that's awesome to bring all the throwbacks in. And you guys definitely do it well with the reunions too, because you had that Mudvayne, reunion as well. So
absolutely, yeah, and that was reunions are great. I think when you haven't seen somebody in a long time and they get back together, it does add something to the event. So we've had we've been lucky enough to have quite a few of them over the years, and I think that's been awesome. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. And Lamb of God was one, like I said, we don't normally do back-to-back on bands, but Lamb of God just was awesome. You know what I mean? They're one of those bands, and we had an opportunity to get them again. And I was just like, yeah, we got to do it. They just fit our event so well, and the vibe of the event. And not only that, but it was pouring rain last year. So I'm hoping we can get them on a day that's not as wet, although it was pretty cool. They still put on. It was kind of a no-brainer, especially for just being the 5th anniversary. I'm like, we got to bring those guys back. They destroyed it last year. I'm a little more aware of the pyro that's going to be happening and the loud bangs. That last year, I think they had something go off, and I was backstage, and I was like, what was that? Looking around, like I thought something exploded, but now I'm a little more aware now what they're bringing, so I'm good.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm of course excited about the Pantera reunion. Like you said, we heard about it that weekend at Inkarceration last year, and just dying to see to hear the Abbott's art live again. And I think that they with Charlie and Zach stepping up, I think they definitely are gonna from what I've seen so far, like the video that I've seen down in South America, man, I just can't wait.
That video was awesome. That sold it for me. I was like, okay, this is going to be really cool. I know it's controversial. I know there's always the debate of whether they should or they shouldn't or whatever. I mean, I think at the end of the day, though, it's just going to be a fun event, and I think people, understand that it is what it is, right? It's a tribute to the legacy of that band, and I mean the group they put together to fill in. I mean, it's an amazing lineup of musicians, and I think it's just going to be an awesome experience. Even the people that are on the fence about it, I think they're going to end up enjoying it a lot.
Yeah, and it's not just talented musicians filling the roles; it's people that actually had like strong relationships with Dime and Vinny and stuff. So, you know, I think they'll be looking down with approval. I'm also looking forward to Limp Bizkit, man. Like you said, they were supposed to be on 2020. It never happened.
Yeah.
Want to experience that party live. And there's a band that I'm really looking forward to that I haven't yet, but I've been seeing all the buzz, is Slaughter to Prevail's on the bill.
Yeah. Yep.
They look like they put on a hell of a show.
They do. Yeah. And that's, another one that's one of those up and coming bands that's been getting a lot of buzz. So I think that's going to go over really well. I think the one thing we focused on this year on our lineup was the undercard, and really kind of deepening that undercard a bit more. And I think we did a great job with that as far as our stage 2 and in just the lower spots throughout the evening. We have a lot of bands, in the mid and undercard that are up and comers that I think a lot of people are going to be blown away about when they see them live. We have an early crowd anyway. I think that's the great thing about Ohio and about our event is like people show up. I mean, like they get there at noon and they're there. Like, I mean, it's pretty wild. I mean, I think that was something that we love about this event is that people do come early. They do check out the bands that are earlier in the day, and they do find some new artists that they can get behind and support, which is awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And like you already mentioned, the Coal Chamber reunion, I'm definitely looking forward to that. I think I seen him at Peabody's way back in the day, in the blurry days. But, and then Lacey being back with Flyleaf, definitely stoked about that.
They're one of my guilty pleasures. I've always liked Flyleaf. I've just loved her voice. So I'm excited about that one big time. I think that's going to be a great reunion set for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And then I always love when my Hatebreed dudes are in town and playing on the bill. Man, they always put on a great show. So
yeah, we haven't heard much about people, because you get so engulfed in these lineups and stuff. But I mean, Hatebreed, they were, in 2018, our inaugural year, they were there and they headlined stage 2. And it was, I mean, they just destroyed the place. I mean, it was absolutely one of the best sets of the entire weekend. And I think people are going to be really stoked to see them again. Again, I think it's just a part of our building that undercard and making sure that we've got a solid lineup from A to Z, all day long.
Yeah, for sure. And then talk about, another one that destroys the place that you're bringing back. You got Slipknot coming back to the prison. So
that was, we were like, again, being like the 5th anniversary of the event. Slipknot played obviously in 21, coming back from the COVID year. And, I think that was the pinnacle night of Ink up to that point. You know what I mean? Of having Slipknot there and coming back and all the feels of going to a concert after so much time off. Again, it was one of those bands that I just think it was kind of a no-brainer. You got to bring those guys back in to be a part of this 5-year, celebration of Inkarceration. They mean a lot to this festival. Again, another band that just fits the festival, fits our event so well. And they just always kill it. I mean, those guys are always good for a headlining show at a festival. They always deliver. They always bring it. And who knows how long they're gonna, who knows how long the gap is gonna be before that, because they always try to take some time off, in between their touring runs, and they've been out for almost 2.5 years now. on their newest album. So, who knows if they end up going away again and how long it's going to be till they come back as they're doing stuff. But yeah, I'm excited to have those guys back for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm always been a big fan of like the theatrics too, not just like the heavy music, but like, putting on a good stage show and like, you got In This Moment coming back too, which is pretty incredible. I love, their show, but, you're talking about like the history and this anniversary. I saw Mushroomheads on the bill as well.
Yeah.
But have they ever played a Inkarceration? I remember they were part of an Ink and the Clink.
Yeah, no, they've never done Inkarceration. So this is going to be our first time having them at Ink. And we're definitely excited about it. It's long overdue. The schedules, I don't think ever kind of lined up, but this year it worked out good. And yeah, we're stoked to have them. I mean, it just makes sense. Those guys are, Cleveland proud, and Ohio, one of the Ohio bands of all time. So we're excited to have them out this year and be able to perform on the Ink stage. And I think it's going to go well.
Yeah, the whole weekend's looking incredible. I had the opportunity to talk with Holly from DWP, and it was like a couple days before the official announcement was coming out for the lineup and stuff. And she was just like, we were talking about Sonic a little bit, and then Sonic Temple, and she was like, I don't know, this one's a little bit more geared towards my taste with the heavier music. So I was just like, oh yeah. And with the perfect setup, with the backdrop, with the prison and everything, definitely fits that bill. So I
think Ink in general, it took us a bit of time to kind of get our identity as far as what we were going to actually be as a festival. And, I think it's pretty obvious that, with our event and the lineups that have been coming out of here the last several years, we're going for hard rock, heavy metal. Like that's going to be Inkarceration, moving forward. That's the vibe of the event. That's the culture of it. And I think people can expect to see more and more of that as we keep going forward. And, we're excited about, having the ability to bring, pretty much any of these acts in now and showcase them every year. And the biggest problem we have, I think right now is now we're looking at 24 lineup and we're like, who can we bring to top? You always want to go, next level on each year. Right. And it's like, who do we bring in? Like it's every year I go through this dilemma in my head, and then every year it ends up being fine and works out really well. Cause there's always some other band that's like getting it back together or doing something crazy or whatever. And so, we're going to brainstorm today. I've got my ideas and what I want to do for next year. I think it's going to be killer. I'll know more, after we have our first discussions today about it, but I'm excited. I mean, I'm already excited for next year and what we're going to bring in and how we're going to top this year. And, we're stoked. So the future Ink is looking very bright.
Yeah, man. But no rest for the wicked, I guess, huh?
Right. Yeah. We still got to get through this year in general.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Don't forget, take a moment to enjoy the, what you guys have put on for this year as well,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But talking about that partnership with the Danny Wimmer crew, how's that been evolving since the beginning?
Oh, it's great. Those guys are I mean, it's so easy to work with them on all levels. They're very humble, chill guys. I mean, there's never, so far, cross your fingers, right? We haven't had any kind of like big anything that's like, bumping heads. I mean, it's been really, we seem to be on the same page with a lot of our ideas and how things work. They kind of let me, do what I do and do my job. And we, our back and forth are always very pleasant. Like almost all of their staff is basically running Inkarceration now, as far as like production and operations and all that kind of stuff and marketing. Like you said, you talked to Holly, their marketing team is just phenomenal. Their production team is just top notch. I mean, you can't ask, like, there's not much that needs to be done from a management perspective on their crews because they're so like good at their jobs. They just run them. I mean, it's like I guess probably because they're so used to it. They've done so many events, they come in, they set up, they get out, and they really do an amazing job. So, I mean, I have no complaints whatsoever about the partnership with them. I think if anything, I think it's pretty obvious they've elevated Inkarceration to a whole another level than what we started with. And, and that's from a band standpoint. I mean, there were certain artists we couldn't get because we were an unknown festival. And there were certain, even just with the setup in general, I mean, there was just tweaks they made here and there that really, really improved our overall flow, our overall, like, the way that fans can get around the event, and then obviously the big thing for me was just the artists that they're able to bring in that I wasn't going to be able to do on my own. Right. And I thought that's been a huge, huge thing for us because it's opened the door for so many different bands to play this event. And I've really thought that's been an awesome thing. So yeah, no complaints whatsoever. Those guys are the largest independent, promoter in the entire country. And I don't think they get a lot of credit for that. And they should.
Yeah, I was going to say, man, like last year's event, all the artists that I was able to meet back there in the media area, the highlight for me was meeting Danny Hayes and Danny Wimmer, because it's like starting as a fan, going to Rock on the Range, working the media tent, just like my appreciation for all they do for the veterans and the military and stuff like that. It was nice to finally shake their hand and tell them personally, so that was sweet for me, man. They're definitely and all the good things I've heard, and then to meet them, just awesome.
They made a lot of memories for a lot of people. And I think that's really cool. And that's something that, again, that even myself before partnering with them, I was a fan. I used to go to Rock on the Range and, I'd hang out there and it was like, you see everything going on and it's definitely, it's pretty amazing what they've built and what they've been able to accomplish. And so, yeah, give them credit because they definitely deserve it.
Yeah, for sure. And they're not afraid to get out there and put in the work to make sure, like, the stories I heard, about the parking issue and Danny Wimmer getting out there and directing buses and, throwing down mulch after the rain, that from last year, like you were saying. And no, they're not sitting in a trailer staying warm in the rain. I mean, they were out there working. I mean, literally in raincoats and putting mulch down and trying to stop the floods happening at Inkarceration taking over our festival in 2022. They were hands on deck on all that. And I said this before in other interviews, but yeah, you could see it. It inspired everybody else to work that much harder when their leaders are out there doing that. Right. That's real leadership there.
And everybody just was working so hard that Sunday just to make sure the boat didn't sink, right? Like that Titanic was filling with water and everybody shoveling water out, trying to make sure that the fans had a show that we didn't have to cancel. And, thank God, like we were able to finish the event. And, as muddy as it was and as rainy as it was, it was nice to see that everybody had such a great time regardless, sliding around in the mud and just enjoying themselves and that our group was able to at least make it as safe as possible for people to have that fun, and I thought that was really neat.
Yeah. And like you were saying, it's like, how much they want the fans to have an experience and leave with memories and how much work they're willing to put in, but also the flow of everything, how they've changed things. I did notice, speaking of the change on the festival map, you guys are going back to separating the two main stages. We are. Yeah. So I think that the biggest reason for that is when we had those double stages for last year, it was a little packed in there. I mean, I thought VIP didn't have the greatest view. The center area was a little too compacted together. It works for a lot of events. I don't think Ink has the overall space to do that. We were trying to deliver more higher, like when you have that many bands, we had a very top heavy lineup. So when you've got that many bands, you need those double stages like that. Right. Yeah. Whereas I think
we were able to still provide that this year with one main. So we have one big main. It's a Sam 750, I think it's called. So like it's the big main stage, going back to the same 2021 lineup or our 2021 setup. One big main stage, one big side stage. We did upgrade the side stage to the next level up that we had in 21. So it's not the same stage 2. It's a little bit bigger. So yeah, and you know, it's not that far to walk back and forth.
No, it's not.
Like it's about I think about 200 feet. So it's really not that big. It's not like you're at some big festival grounds where you've got to walk a mile to another stage or up a hill or whatever else. You know, we flattened down the hill that separates the two stages. We flattened that in certain areas, and we've changed the grade on that quite a bit. And we did that before last year. So, you know, we've made it as comfortable as possible to go back and forth. And it's just a better setup. There's just more space for everybody, for the general admission audience who's up front to the VIP viewing is going to be way better, you know, similar to what it was in 21. So it's just hard with that, with the VIP and the two stages, because the furthest stage over, you know, there's certain angles that you can't see from the VIP area, and those patrons need to be able to see, you know, all the bands. So I think that was a good move. You know, as of this point, we plan on keeping that moving forward.
Yeah, I agree too. You know, I noticed how congested it was, and when people are staying stagnant and not moving because you know, everything's right there.
Yeah.
You know, anybody that's trying to go get island noodles has to, like, you know, take a shuttle around or something, the crowd.
Right. Yeah.
And you know, I mean, let's face it, you know, it's like, I knew what it was like partying back in the day. You know, it's just like, more likely if you're not moving and burning some of that off, you're going to, people are passing out and missing half the stuff over there, you know, so keep everybody active.
Right.
But I see, you know, we're continuing the relationship too with our mutual friend, Chris of CB Entertainment. You know, you talked about exposing people to a lot of up and coming bands. His is the stage to hit for a lot of that as well. You know, talk about like what he brings to the table.
Yeah. So this year, he's, you know, he's still bringing in some artists, and he's doing a lot of the camping stages, which we haven't announced yet. That's coming out very shortly here. So we are doing the camping bands again this year. And a lot of up and coming artists are going to be on those camp stages. Some people will know, you know, from previous years. And we do have our rock karaoke coming back as well, which went over really well for our Thursday pre-party for the campers that were on site. They understand what that was all about. It's just basically a live rock band, and you get to go up there and sing karaoke in front of it. So that's a lot of fun. I think, but we do have bands every night at camping. So, you know, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night we'll have bands. And so for those campers that don't want the party to end, it will continue to go at the campgrounds. So yeah, so Chris is bringing a lot of bands. He's helped me coordinate a lot of those stages with me, on you know, on the camping side of things, but also on the main stage. We did do a lot more. We did some Twitch contests this year for artists for stage 3. So a lot of fan voted artists are on that third stage this year. But most of that stage is it's kind of unknown, unsigned, like a lot of up and coming artists who people probably haven't heard of and don't play a lot of festivals, but I think it's a great opportunity for them at Inkarceration. And that stage the plan is to continue to bring these bands and give them the opportunities to play on that stage. I think that's a huge importance for, you know, the smaller artists to be able to get that exposure.
Yeah. You know, you must have seen my notes, because it's like, I'm rolling right into the camping experience too.
Nice.
Which you already touched on, but
yeah,
you know, I've been kind of curious about it myself, because it seems like it'd be like a great time, depending on weather, of course.
Yeah.
But, you know, I've sworn off tent camping myself at you know, as I turned 50, but
yeah,
I'd rather be
hard on the back.
yeah. I mean, I'd rather be sleeping in my car like Ricky from Trailer Park Boys or something than in a tent. But I mean, they went out, like I watched some of, like with Balls and everybody on the Twitch stream. They went into the camp area, and it just seems like a whole, like, a whole nother city.
It's its own festival over there.
Yeah.
It really is. We talk about this every year, because when we started it in 2018, we probably had 200 campers, right? It was like very small, not a whole lot of campers over there. And every year it's just grown and grown and grown. And, we're up to, 4,000 people over there now, so there's like 4,000 to 5,000. So there's more people at the campgrounds than we're at the festival in year one per day. Right. So it's definitely its own, whole other, festival over there. And I will hands down say we have the best camping of any festival out there. I really think we do. And I think that it's just the culture that they've built and what they've, how the fans all treat each other over there, and the amount of fun they have, and these various like traditions they all do now, and just so much stuff. We've got a great camping page that's run online there, and they keep in touch with each other on there and all year long, and people look forward to it. Camping is the one area that literally sells out so fast every year. So we've been trying to figure out how to get more RV hookups in there because we know people need those. So we're working on that right now, and I think there'll be a pleasant announcement coming soon on that. But it's a wild experience over there. I mean, it's not everyone's cup of tea, but a lot of people love it, and we get them back and forth with those shuttles. You know what I mean? Get them, from the festival, and they don't have to worry about drinking and driving. They can just take a drive and for the most part, they're behaved. I think we've had very little amounts of people puking on the shuttles over the years. Not too many, just a couple, but
there's always something in the crowd.
There's always somebody, right?
Yeah. But yeah, man, it sounds like something I'm going to have to try and maybe dip my toes in one year and experience.
Yeah, I mean, at least go over there and just take a look at it, and just check it out. Like maybe during the pre-party or whatever. We all went over there last year for the pre-party night, for the Thursday pre-party. And like myself, Hayes, Wimmer, a lot of their other staff. And it was just like, you could just smell it in the air. The vibe was fun. People were stoked. And it was just like such a pleasant feeling to be like, wow,
that's not all you smelled in the air, but
what's that?
Said, I'm sure that's not all you smelled in the air, but
probably not all you smelled, right? Yeah, there were some other smells that were creeping around as well, but hey, they were having a good time, so I'm okay with it,
Yeah, exactly. But so real quick, because I know we got to get ready and wrap up here, so you can start planning 2024.
Right,
but
right.
You'd give me some advice. I think it was I think we were at the the 5 Finger Death Punch show at Blossom. We were talking. Yeah. And
I always run into you at concerts around Cleveland. I love it. It's always fun to see you, and
Yeah, it's always good to catch up. And I know me, you, and Terry have been talking about actually just getting together and hanging out one time where we're not distracted with concerts. We got to definitely make that happen still. But yeah, I pitched to you, I was like, hey man, you got, that was a good time in that tent, man. And, I'm trying to get my name out there with this podcast, pursuing this dream. And I told you my idea for maybe getting a chance to sit with Pinfield and interview a couple bands. And you said, hey man, you what was the famous quote you gave me
what's the worst I could say is no, right?
Yeah. The Wayne Gretzky or whatever. You missed the shots you don't take or whatever.
Right,
man.
you missed 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah. And I took your advice, man. So it's like the ball's been pitched through Holly, and the ball I actually was able to get Matt on here. And the
I saw that.
Yeah, him,
that's great. Yep.
Yeah. So hopefully, man, I appreciate you giving me that pep talk, and I was able to step out and throw that pitch. So we'll see, man. Hopefully you'll be seeing more of me back in the inner workings of things at least at the Ohio shows.
You do a great job interviewing people. I mean, your interviews are always engaging, and it never sounds forced. I think you do a great job asking questions that are outside the box of the realm of a lot of interviews can be very stale. So I think you usually ask a lot of good questions, and I think it's entertaining. I always enjoy talking to you, and I think that you'll do really well. So I fully support you and all that, and say, anything I can do to help, I will, for sure.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate your friendship and, getting, these years working together and making this our annual thing,
Absolutely.
So, awesome, but with that, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up. I put it out to the universe. We'll see what manifests. But let you get to your busy schedule plan in 2024. But I'm throwing that out there again. Me, you, and Terry got to hang sometime before July rolls around.
We'll definitely try to make that happen for sure.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot
All right,
again for your time, man.
You got
Take
it.
care.
I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.